Hello there, people of the internet. My name is Jagero, and this is Dialogues with Jagero. I have been running a series with Dr. Daniel Katambo. The series is called How to Reduce Weight, the Teaspoon Way. Okay? And we have done episode 1, episode 2. I hope you enjoyed both the episodes. And now we are going to Nutrition Makeover. That is episode 3. We are going to be talking about the power of whole foods. We are going to be talking about portion control and smart snacking. And always staying hydrated. The man with the knowledge and the experience, Dr. Daniel, how are you doing?
Thank you so much for having me today.
Whole foods, smart snacking. What comes to mind? Probably just we start by giving an overview of why it is important.
Well,
Eat me, lick me, chew me, bite me, calories, they join the party, a mischievous pair. Adding inches to our waistlines, we just don't care. We're here to spill the sweet truth, break it all down. From glucose to fructose, sucrose in disguise.
this is a very important topic when it comes to weight. And actually, I wanted to turn it back to you.
Yeah.
There's a story you gave me when you went to the US and you went to Europe. What kind of food availability? What types of food were you seeing in those parts of the world? And what types of food do you have in this part of the world, which is the African part of the world?
What I saw was a lot of burgers.
Yes.
The chips is not even the same as our chips. It
What's the
is
difference?
extremely salty.
Yeah, actually, that's very true.
Yeah, it's extremely salty.
The double M one.
Yes.
That's the McDonald's.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's extremely salty, and
Yeah.
then it is in strings, and it doesn't taste like viazi anymore. It doesn't taste like potatoes. It's just something there. I think it tastes like crisps,
Yeah,
you know.
that's
And
very true.
yeah, and the burgers.
Yes.
Kwanzaa, the bread is too white, extremely
Yes.
perforated. I don't know. It looks really funny. But then
Yes.
there are no veggies, man.
Why?
I no veggies. No, hakuna
Did
veggies.
you really look for them?
It is in fine dining. You want veggies, you do fine dining.
And that's when you get the salads.
That's where you get the salads.
So did you look for Kazera, Moreda?
No. You know, one of the things that a lot of people say when they travel outside Kenya or Africa is the sudden lack of. The other day I was listening to a Ugandan musician called Babe Cool,
Yes.
and he talked with Juliana Kanyamuzi for almost an hour, and a big segment of it, about 20 to 25 minutes,
Yes.
was about why he travels with his chef
Yes.
to wherever
Oh.
he goes. Yes,
Oh, really?
just to take care of his weight, just to take care of what he eats, because whenever he goes outside without the chef,
Yes.
things just he can't get what he wants.
That's very true.
Yeah, you don't get the katogo, you don't get the soup.
There isn't.
Like, I realize that in the UK and in the Europe and America, soup is very difficult to get. Soup, like just something to eat. Unajua ukikula nyama unakula nyama na soup. Have you
is
ever?
very true.
If you go to New York, getting boiled meat
Yeah.
is a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
You'll have to go to the
And-
Turkish restaurants, look for the Indian restaurants, look for this and that. That is when you
Japanese
get
restaurant, and you get specific maybe type of food in that culture.
But you
or
must have the
region.
money.
Of course, yes.
Because if a burger would cost you like $6, when you go to an Indian restaurant or a Turkish restaurant,
Wow.
you start talking about $30, $50.
Wow.
You know,
Per meal.
yeah. So you can imagine the people that are living there; they can't afford it. They just
can't.
eat the junk. There is a time I was in Berlin, not Berlin, Frankfurt, Germany.
Yes.
And something funny that I saw was that I was at the train stations around lunchtime, and everybody was just out in the streets eating mkate bana. They were just eating mkate. I was like, what a poor nation. What a poor nation this is. They were eating mkate and that thing they call hot dog, whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then with lots of Coke.
Yes, because
Soda.
you get the bread and
Yeah.
something else to teramusha with.
And you see them and you look at their bodies and they're just looking,
Yeah.
they're looking bitter, they're looking unhealthy.
Yes.
And then you come back to Africa, especially have you been to Uganda, bro?
I haven't been to Uganda inside of late. I was there
I
in
think
2000
Uganda
or
is my number one food destination
Oh, really?
in Africa. Yeah.
Oh.
And then probably followed by Nigeria.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yes. And then I don't like South African food much.
Why?
It's weird because South African food is, South Africa is very modern in terms of if you go to
that's
their
exactly
towns.
what I was looking for.
Yeah,
because
it's very modern.
They're kind of like modernized.
Yeah, they are more, if you go to Cape Town, you are
Yeah.
eating like somebody in New York.
In New York or Europe or whatever. And then they also have the restaurants.
Yes.
You're talking Japanese restaurant, Indian
Yeah.
restaurants, and all these types of restaurants.
Yeah, and food is not very cheap in
it is
South
not.
Africa.
It's $13, $20
Yeah.
again.
So that is what I have seen about all foods. When you are my sister
Yeah.
lives in Norway,
Uh-huh.
and there is something funny that she does.
Yes.
My sister comes home
Yeah.
and she has a whole suitcase.
Suitcase.
Yes, her whole suitcase carrying food.
Oh.
Yeah,
Coming or going?
going.
Oh, really?
She tells my sister, she tells my other sister to cook the veggies, and then they are dried.
Oh, really?
Yes, and then she packs omena. She packs
Oh,
meat.
wow.
So she buys meat in bulk,
Yes.
and then my sister would boil it.
Yes.
Then after boiling it, she would then fry them,
Uh-huh.
and then she would carry them. The same to kamongo, and the same to fish. So she has a whole suitcase that is just carrying food, and she says that would take her for about 6 months, 6 to 8 months,
Oh, wow.
just eating food from home, and then she would carry ketepa. She would carry.
Okay, Tepa, that one you have to. Because I can tell you there's no tea like the Kenyan one.
Yeah, wanakuanga na ukora at English tea. By the way, you English tea ni nini? It is so bad. There is no.
And they
I think English tea is the worst tea that you can ever try to take, especially after tasting.
That's a
Kenyan.
nice name. Come on now.
Yeah, but it ends there.
I know.
But it ends there.
And then they give you a small piece of milk. Eh?
The skimmed one.
Yes.
Then it looks so horrible.
I know.
It looks like those. Well, I wanted to say this, but I think this is not good. Anyway, let's talk about whole foods. What comes to mind? An overview of whole
I
foods.
think that's really important, the background that you have given.
Yeah.
And that gives it away because I think all food is the background or the backbone of management of most nutritional problems.
Yeah.
That includes obesity, diabetes, and other cardiovascular issues that we see with the patients. You've given a very good example. Your sister has to come here, and she feels nice when she's carrying this whole food. This is exactly the difference between, because that story just gives you the difference between processed food and the non-processed food. Even if you looked at something like viazi, potatoes, which is exactly this potato that you will get in Double M, which is the McDonald's in the US,
Yeah.
and a viazi that you will get here in Kenya, they taste different.
Yeah.
One of them is processed. The other one came from an African soil.
Yeah.
Well, manured. Eh?
Yes.
You know, ilikuwa manured na kinyezi ya mbuzi.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
ama chicken manure or
Yes.
something. That is the natural way of doing it. I haven't even given you a story. So many people carry sausages from Kenya, to outside.
Oh, really?
Yes, apparently Farmer's Choice sausages are good. I'm not saying that is not processed; it's still processed. But getting
It is not ultra processed.
yes,
It is
when-
not super
yes.
processed.
I remember when I used to live outside. One of the things that we used to anyone coming from Kenya we will tell them just carry sausages, a value pack.
Really?
Yes, because getting that tasty thing you're looking for is usually it's rare.
I remember trying to eat the one that I've not, the story that I've not told you is trying to eat beef. So I was in Italy, and then I was at Airbnb,
Yes.
and then I bought beef, and I
Yes.
wanted to go cook it.
Yes.
And when I put it on the pan, I really couldn't tell. You know the smell of meat
Yes.
when you're trying to cook meat.
I see what
There
you're
was
talking
zero
about.
smell.
Yes.
And then it was super soft.
Yes.
You know,
Very. It is. There is no crunching.
yes,
The feeling you feel when you're chewing that meat.
yes,
Kambuzi from
Yes,
from
yes.
Kitengela or
Yes,
from Maasai land.
yes, yes,
You
yes.
know what I mean.
Mm.
Those are the things that I talk about. The whole foods.
yeah,
Now, to start you off, remember I told you about science.
yeah,
So there was this study that was done. I will not quote many different ones, but I want to give you an example one where they took 20 people, all right, and they adjusted. If you want to do a sort of like a clinical trial, which we use for evidence, you take you adjust for the environment. So if you want to do a very nice study in nutrition, they 20 people, 20 of them were admitted and given whole foods, and another 20 were admitted and given processed food, whether it is ultra processed food or the processed foods. And they adjusted for calorie intake, they adjusted for proteins, they adjusted for carbohydrate intake, and they adjusted for many other issues there. So they made sure that if you try as much as possible, because if it's you and me, and we go into these two different groups, what you are going to eat, in as much as it's ultra processed, and what I am going to eat as natural might not be the same. But you try as much as possible and adjust. And this group that was given, the 20 people that were given whole foods, lost weight. They actually lost more than 3 kilos in 14 days. Just, it didn't matter whatever you were eating. It was just a balanced diet. It had carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vegetables, everything. And this other group was the same, but it was ultra processed. This other one gained weight, gained 1 or 2 kilos in 14 days. What does that tell you? The importance of whole foods. And this is where now I will turn my attention to the African way of eating and how lucky we are as a continent. I remember, I don't know whether it was in episode 1 or episode 2, I talked about this, and I said, maybe in brief, and I said I'll revisit it. Africa as a continent, and even Kenya as a continent, we need to thank God. I have been to US, I have been to US, to Europe.
Okay.
And there is absolute sort of lack of natural foods and whole foods. And when we come here in Africa, unfortunately, our population is adapting what the West is doing, such that now we are starting even from a younger generation. And it's quite unfortunate that if now I take you to the various groups of foods that we eat, look at breakfast. What are we eating? Cereals. We are eating Weetabix. We are eating oats. We are eating, what are they called? Those Cocoa Pops. They are, those different, you've been to the different restaurants, and the cereals or those cranky things, that is what people are eating. And that's ultra-processed breakfast. To the point that if a person comes for treatment, I tell you, I want you to really think of a breakfast that is not processed. We go blank. Alright? Hawakuli githeri. Hawakuli hata hii natural ndoma.
Hawakuli.
It has been left for the elderly.
My daughter hates it.
It is left for the elderly. And it's your daughter because probably you introduced it to her. It's what? I didn't ask you.
My daughter hates ndoma.
That's far much better. So this is now where the difference between processed and non-processed comes in. you had better eat ndoma as opposed to eating what?
Bread.
Those breads or eating those ultra-processed stuff that people eat. And I must say here,
I think we should talk about bread.
kwanza
What is bread?
bread is just wheat.
Because
that
there is
baked.
one that I usually there is one that I usually buy at Yaya,
Yes.
and that bread is 280.
Oh, wow. What does it have?
It has a lot of things going on. First of all, it is very heavy. Have
Yes.
you eaten bread from Uganda?
No.
Uganda has a Ugandan bread is very heavy, like really, really heavy.
Compared to ours.
Yes, it is much heavy. Like a slice of Ugandan bread is almost twice the weight of our bread. You see, and that bread that I'm getting at Yaya is also from Yaya is also that heavy.
Heavy.
You know?
Yes.
And then it has got some millet inside it. It's got some sprinkle of just some nuts inside of it. But then
I've seen such breads.
yes, and it's very expensive. And then when you ask them, they tell you that well, this is a whole bread. So hii yenye tumekula hapa kwa ofisi sasa hii yenye inakaa white, alafu it's perforated.
Yes.
Hey,
I like I like the marketing tricks.
yes.
I mean, whichever that made this other wheat, unless it's made this other bread, unless it's ultra processed, it's still wheat.
Yeah.
The fact that, and I've seen those bread, now you've reminded me, where they add some nuts, they add some whole seeds of something,
Yes.
and then they tell you it's whole bread. I don't disagree.
Yeah.
You know, it's still whole bread, but the issue I have with lots of breads, it's almost sugar. A lot of bread is made with sugar, actually pure sugar. You know the way you bake and you when you're preparing to make bread. Have you ever seen bread being made where they put the unga and then they actually add physical
They scoop.
sugar?
They
Yes,
scoop.
yes, not with kijiko.
They scoop there is something.
With a shovel.
Yes.
You see, you're making many. A lot of, that's what exactly they do. So a lot of our bread is actually, a lot of it is sugar, unfortunately. And it spikes a lot of our sugar in you. That is the blood levels of sugars. That's quite high. And that is a problem because it results in, maybe to mention here again, what's the difference between white and brown bread, especially in a Kenyan version?
I think they are adding food color.
Thank you.
I strongly believe that the brown bread that we eat in Kenya is just an addition of food color.
Unfortunately, it is.
Isn't that illegal?
Well, by all means, it is. Have you ever eaten purely brown bread?
Si ndio hiyo ya Uganda nakuambia.
Are you sure it is purely brown bread and there is no coloring also?
Karibu color. Unajua there are communities,
Yes.
cultures that still have utu,
Yes.
that still have a little bit of truth
I agree.
in themselves.
Yes.
Like for example, if you go to South Africa
Yes.
and buy honey,
Yes.
and it is written raw honey,
Yes.
it's actually raw honey.
It is actually. Even here in Kenya, I think we still
Nothing.
have. We still have. some.
Nothing. One, I will bet my money on it.
Are you serious?
There is no raw honey in Kenya. None whatsoever. Kambas used to do raw honey.
Yeah.
Alafu wakakutana na hii watu yetu hii. Wakaribu hiyo market. Do you know how much honey has been messed up in Cumberland?
Oh, really?
Aya, we had Kalenjins, the Nilotes,
Yes.
making honey in the Rift Valley.
Yes.
I don't know who gave them the idea. That honey
There
is
is
bad.
nothing. Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really, really, really bad. Like the last time I bought honey in Rift Valley, I came and left it. The next day I was trying to use it. Ilikuwa it was divided into two.
Oh.
I could see sugar at the top and then something else black at the bottom.
At the bottom.
And that is the same thing that is happening in. There is a lady who is selling honey called Kaputei. Kaputei honey.
Uh-huh.
Now, Kaputei honey is probably the honey that I would rate as almost raw honey. Almost.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but hapo nyuma, it was
Yeah.
very good honey. But something along the way happened.
Has happened.
But I will still say that is almost raw honey because it's the one that I'm using right now.
Okay. And that's quite unfortunate.
But then
to
when you
think
go to
about
other
it.
cultures like Uganda,
Yes.
some of them have not gotten into this thuggery in our country of trying to mess up everything and try to game people who are trying to eat healthy. The other day I went to buy lemongrass.
Lemongrass.
Yes, I like lemongrass. I put lemongrass in my tea.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I love it so much.
Yeah, it's
So I went to one of these supermarkets, and they didn't have the leaves. They just had the roots. And when I went home, and my wife was asking me, "Where are the leaves?" Because that's what we use.
Yes.
But they're apparently just selling the root. I don't know whether they're throwing the leaves. It's interesting. So there are some cultures that are still have a little bit of heart.
Oh, nice. That's
Because
really
I find like sometimes in Kenya, somebody just want to sell you anything.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't really care how that effect is on your life. Like, for example, milk.
Yes.
These ATMs
Yes.
that is all over.
Yeah.
Iko kila mahali kwa mtaa.
Exactly.
Let me ask you, do you want to tell me that thing is pure milk?
Well, it is quite debatable. Honestly,
Unaenda unaiweka
in most cases,
unaisahau on top of your kitchen top table. Kesho unakuja unapata kama haijaribika.
that one I so agree. I really agree. And this thing they are calling milk powder, you know, most of it is probably, you remember there was a debate on whether the milk that we are getting is milk powder or is it milk. There's a lot of debate in the quality of food that you are eating. And this is, I like this discussion because we needed to bring it out.
Yeah.
And I know we have measured on probably the sugary bit.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's turn our attention to the natural meat.
Yeah.
Is it the same case? I know you mentioned in Europe. Was it Europe or in Germany?
It was in Italy. It was in Italy. When I started eating it,
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out if it is meat or something else. So I abandoned it because I was looking for meat, but what I was having was sort of tasting like chicken. It was so I came to realize that they're the fattened whatever what is it called? It is genetically engineered.
Oh, yes. And you know now, right now, by there, you can actually genetically engineer meat.
Yes.
We have gotten there already. And I think they're already selling it. Was it in Israel, where they have actually a machine that sews ama inashona nyama?
Inashona nyama aje?
They have used genetically, they have engineered meat, and they can actually make meat from nothing. From
Raw materials.
Yes. They just shona it and they give it to you. It's a clip that is there and it's actually being sold right now. I think it's in Israel.
I heard that also China is selling rice.
Yeah.
Like rice that is not coming from a rice farm.
Exactly. We are getting there. And once it starts happening there, we as an African continent, and Kenya, of course, included, we are running there, which is quite unfortunate. Yeah. Now, coming to meat, we are also getting there because we are starting to see ultra-processed meats. A lot of it. Processing meat. But we are still natural. Today is a day that Muslims are celebrating something, right? And there is a lot of eating of natural meat.
Halal meat.
Yes.
Is it called a halal?
Halal. They say, what's the difference between halal and the other meat? One is prayed for.
One damu imemwagika. They have drained the nini. The
There's
blood.
no blood.
I believe so.
I'm not too sure, actually. We need to check on that. But let me tell you the power of that natural Maasai meat. There's actually a big difference between a Maasai meat and another one from the Western world.
Yeah.
There's a big difference. Now we are starting to get this natural food that we have, and we are processing it to produce things we are calling sausages. And unfortunately, with our industries, now even these sausages are adding some carbohydrates in them. This is something that I really needed to mention. And now killing the whole bit about natural meat. That quickly turns my attention to the vegetables that we look at. Unfortunately, we do not value vegetables, and we do not invest in making vegetables our daily, meals.
Yeah.
And this has gotten to the point even in our own kiosks where we eat, right? The smallest bit of our or the smallest portion of our daily food is actually the vegetable. Nikupe skuma sosa.
What is kumasosa?
You've not gone to the Kibandansky and you've given a very big ugali, then meat, and then the kamboga comes with like a small...
A mboga you is given for free.
Yeah, and it comes with like a small...
Yes, kadish.
Kadish.
Yes.
It's
a small dish, yes.
This is why are we doing that?
Because for me, sometimes when I go to the restaurant, I tell them to give me a full plate of mboga and charge me for it.
Thank you. This is exactly what we should be doing. And
but
now
probably that is the reason. That is because the menu is saying meat. So they're just sprinkling you mboga there. If you go to Kosewe
yes.
is a restaurant hapo karibu na along Gong Road.
Yes.
Now those guys, when you ask for nyama or you ask for chicken,
yes,
they bring you a whole bowl of veggies.
Oh, really?
Yes. And their bowl can also come with yo mafuta ya ng'ombe. Sijui kama unaijua.
Yeah.
The one that is taken when
talao or ghee or whichever.
Yeah, I
The
don't
one
know.
that comes-
I don't know
yeah.
what it's called in English, but in Luo, it's called monya Luo.
Okay.
So monya Luo is when they are making sour milk,
Yes.
they make it using the gourd, and basically they put it on the lap,
Yes.
and keep doing that, and that motion
Yes.
remove the fat, and then it starts floating on top of the milk. So the more you do it, the more it coagulates.
Yeah.
And then when you take that one out, you put it on fire, and then it melts, and then it is bottled.
Oh, nice.
It is so beautiful. So what Kosewe does, they bring you that bowl of
You're making me look for this restaurant now.
Oh, it's
There are
amazing.
very few
I
restaurants
will
that
take
do
you
that.
there. I will take you there one of these days. We go
Yes.
take that. So wako na nini kienyeji, chicken kienyeji,
Oh, wow.
which is boiled.
That's nice.
And then once they are boiled it, they put all the two things.
Yeah.
They put onions.
Yeah.
They put many of those things. What are they called? Rosemary.
Yeah.
And then they just bring you that. They bring it the whole thing, the whole chicken.
Oh, really?
Yes, they bring the whole chicken plus the soup plus the mboga on the side plus that mafuta, yo mafuta.
Yeah.
And then you choose whether you want the ugali that is brown,
Yes.
or you get the millet one. They have
millet
millet.
Millet ugali.
Yes,
The
millet.
natural millet
The
one.
millet one. Hiyo
Yeah.
kukula ni ngumu. Ni ya wazee.
Unajua tena pia hata when you look at that ugali that you're talking about,
Yeah.
do you know most of it here in Nairobi tena, you
Yes.
find instead of having the nice millet one, people have again added what? Yeah, white.
Yeah.
So you never get the natural nice millet one.
Your nice one is very the natural millet is very difficult to cook. There are countless people that can cook that one.
But that's what we mean by natural.
So I think the problem also comes in the fact that it is very difficult to cook. So for example, my house lady, my house help usually has a problem cooking because I get my maize from home. And then tunalipeleka kisiagi Kawangware. Huko ndo inasiagwa.
And then unakuja unakula.
Si ndio?
And then unafikiri tumbo isiagi ilikuwe sukari.
Huh?
Anyway.
Inasiaga, but see, now it is different from the highly processed one.
That is very true.
Iko na ile maganda.
Yes, that is very true because at least it has some fiber in it.
Yes.
And that is actually the main difference between when you eat ultra-processed and processed food. I mean, ultra-processed food and natural food. The whole idea is that with this discussion is that whenever you stick to natural whole foods, the amount into which you spike and you gain weight, spiking insulin and gaining weight, that capacity is reduced.
Now, I hope that you're enjoying this program. Over the last 15 years, I have been working online for clients in America, in Europe, and all over the world. And that is why it pains me a lot when I see a lot of African brothers and sisters saying that they do not have a job. Now, this is the problem. A lot of people are trying to look for a job in 2024 in their own town, in their own country, in their local area. Now, the truth is, there are no jobs in Africa, at least not so many jobs. The good news is that we have internet these days. We have a tablet, we have a computer, we have a phone, and that means that we can do a lot of jobs. And those jobs are online. That is why over the last 4 years, I've been writing a book that is called Digital Goldmine. It is a book that explains to you how you can earn money online. The 18 hustles that I've chosen are basically for Africans. Okay? Because what happens when you are doing online jobs is that payment is usually a problem. So these 18 side hustles that I have put together in this book, you can be paid very well and very conveniently. Okay, so the book is only 1,000 Kenya shillings. That is about $10. You can buy it in Kenya using paybill number. You can buy it online from anywhere in the world using a credit or a debit card. All the information about this book is in the description below. Just need to go to the description, click on the link, and you can buy this book. And if you have a brother, you have a wife, you have a husband, you have a friend who is sitting at home and watching Netflix, please do buy this book for them. If you are the one sitting at home and watching Netflix and have nothing to do, please buy this book and your life is gonna change forever. Because I have been doing this online and I've been traveling and I've been enjoying myself and having a lot of fun. So thank you very much. And now back to program.
Because most natural foods actually reduce the amount of insulin that spikes. And you find things like sukuma wiki, cabbages, spinach, terere, morenda, what is it called? The other different types. Kunde. Those ones have a lot of fiber. In fact, when you are constipated, when you come to the office and you tell us that you are constipated and you can't pass a lot of stool, we tell you to increase a bit of your vegetables. Why? Because these are not digested completely, actually. The vegetables are digested kidogo, and most of it remains within your intestine. And this acts like a laxative by themselves.
What's a laxative?
Laxative is a drug that when you take, it makes you pass stool when you're constipated. So before we get to the drug, we tell you to take a lot of more water, and 2, you take more vegetables because they act as natural laxative. Now, vegetables, when you look at vegetables, proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, the things, as long as you're taking them whole, the amount...
What does whole mean?
That's exactly natural.
In its natural state?
In its natural state.
Haijachukuliwa iweke kwa reservoir ikuwe heated
Exactly.
to 95 degrees.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And actually that gives you another perspective to the difference between good fat and processed fat. How do we get the fat that we see? Seed oil. You heat the seeds to 1,000 degrees or even more to produce the oil. And that's why we say that oil is not good. Because it becomes oxidized, meaning it is easily reacts to your elements in your body. So we discourage the use of ultra-processed oils and use the natural oils, the one that you just described.
The
here.
cold-pressed oil,
Yes.
if you take sunflower and then cold-press it, that's a good oil.
Yes, if it is just cold pressed. But if you look at something like the best natural one is like olives. Olives are usually very slimy, right?
Yeah.
And if you want to produce olive oil, what do? You just press the olive seeds, and they just chechemuka and they bring you what? Oil. That is why we tend to say olive oil is natural, nice, good oil. As long as the processing does not include a lot of what? Heating.
Oh, I see.
Avocado oil. Avocado by itself is very good. But then now when you get the avocado oil, when you want to get avocado oil, all you need to do is peel the key avocado and squeeze it, and it gives you what? Oil. The process of making it does not involve a lot of processing. Anything that includes a lot of processing, take it with a pinch of salt. And that might be an unhealthy product to you. And hence, now when you look at now whole foods and artificial foods or processed foods, the biggest difference is what you do. You can eat your pork, but be careful when you're eating sausage, pork. You can eat your chicken, but be careful when you're eating your sausage, chicken. You can eat your beef, but be careful when you're eating processed beef.
How do they?
Sausage.
How then do they? For example, the patty inside the burger.
Yes.
How do they process it?
Yeah, the which burger? You know, there's the what are they called? The fracasta. That's a thing. What's the name?
The patty, the one that
You know, there is a difference between the sausage and that one that they put in a burger. The burger one does not have any meat.
it's called a meat burger.
Yes, because it is. They give you the way. Okay, you know that. How do I tell you this? The way they process it. I wish I could have shown you how they put. It is exactly what the white thing. I don't know. You've ever cut the sausage? Do you see the white substance in there?
Yes.
That is mixture of meat and some flour. So if I told you it's a meat
The
burger,
filler.
yeah, the kefila, yes, that kefila is not purely meat. No, it has a lot of wheat, and that is instead of your sausage being purely meat, a sausage should be purely meat. This burger thing that they put to you now is what they mix. And they grind this meat, kabisa. They grind it, mix it with the flour, and then they put it onto you. And then they add those onions. What do they add? Tomatoes, and they
to
put,
small salad.
yes,
Salad.
and then they give you that is ultra processed burger.
What I've never understood is that there is lack of clarity, because if somebody is telling you that you're taking a meat burger and yet the patty is probably just 30% meat, I wonder what it says about our society. Because, for example, I would feel the way we would approach it is that companies would say, okay, we are going to give you meat burger, but the meat burger is going to cost you, let's say, 1,000.
Yes,
And the one where we have put fillers is going to cost you 500.
500.
Instead of giving you the one for 500 and
And
giving you no any other alternative.
well, I agree with you. That is what we should do. From a humane, ethical perspective, you should be able to know that if I'm selling something, I'm selling a sausage, I should come and tell you this sausage is only 60% meat. Or it's this
But
percent.
I got a lady selling selling sausages. So she was like, the way they put marketers along the aisles
Yes.
to talk about their products.
Yes.
So there is this lady that had come with product sausages. So I asked her, what is the percentage of meat? And what is the percentage of fillers?
Yes.
And she didn't know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Anyway,
For us, she's been told to market.
to market.
Yes.
Smart snacking.
Yes.
There is a time we were going through the Katambo,
Yes.
and there are. What do you think about smart snacking? Why do we even need to snack?
That is where I wanted to start you
Yes.
from. Now, again, according to science, I'll take you there. Did you know, according to research, the number one cause of obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular diseases in terms of lifestyle is snacking? People have stopped eating meals and turned into snacking. I'll give you a perfect example. You wake up in the morning, you're supposed to be in the office at 8.
Mm-hmm.
You're woken up at 7:20. what do? What are your priorities? You wake up, jump to the bathroom, you come out, it is 7:40. You're supposed to drive maybe 10 kilometers or 5 kilometers to your workplace. What do? You carry the tea and you carry maybe whatever, whether it is ndoma
or 2 pieces of bread.
Or 2 pieces of bread.
Yeah.
And then you arrive at workplace maybe at 8 or 8:01 and you are happy. You open your computer, you finish. At 9, what is happening to your stomach?
Hunger.
You hunger. What are you likely to grab?
Still returning bunny.
Yeah, you probably carried a bread, or in the office there is an offer. There is a lady who walks with a bucket around. What do they carry most of the time?
Mandazi.
Is mandazi, there is chapo, there is ndoma. For the people who feel natural, there is ndoma, and there's also sweet potato. Let's not be that bad. There is also sweet potato, all right? Then you eat 1 or 2. But within 2 hours again, what do? You're still hungry. So you say, give me a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and something. And this time round, you say, because I'm about to go for lunch, just give me 1 mandazi or give me, some nuts, right? Then you finish, you just take, then you finish, and then you go for lunch. We now decide to go for lunch. When you go for lunch, are you likely to eat a lot of food? No. Why? Because you have just been eating. So you eat a small portion.
Yeah.
Which is our next thing which we are going to look at. So you eat a small portion, and then now the tumbo doesn't jasan, and then now you get to around 3. You come back to the office. You do 1 hour or 2, and then your stomach again calls you to eat something. You again ask for tea, and again ule mama wa bucket.
Sahi wacha nipatie kachapo.
Yeah, that's unakula kachapo. That's about 3 or something, 3:30. Okay? And then at 5, there is somebody who is celebrating an anniversary or a birthday in the office. Or the office has reached 10 years, or there's something going on. Usually in these big offices, there's a lot of things going on, and we like celebrating them. So there's a cake that has come. And a cake comes with a soda, comes with some natural, nice juices. And we know them. So you eat. All right? And then you finish a meeting, Jagero, outside somewhere.
At 6.
At 6. Right? So if you're meeting at some place, some joint, whether it's Java, whether it is at cafe or something, what do? Again, we order something, coffee.
Or a milkshake.
Yes.
Especially the girls, if it's a man that is going out for a date, they order the milkshake.
I totally agree with you. We order that one.
Women and milkshake.
Yes, and if we are not that, and if we have guys of kachupa, we meet somewhere again and we take alcohol. And when the alcohol we order, what do we eat? We could eat some snacks. We could say, give us some, sausages, or give us some samosas, or give us something to teramusha. And then you finish, and if you're a nice man, then you arrive at home at 8. Others arrive at 7, at 1 a.m. But us, we are nice, so we arrive at 8. There's food. But will you eat a lot? No, you will eat kidogo. So you will eat maybe kienyeji kuku, 1 piece, akaugali, and some kamboga, and you sleep. That has been your day. What have you been doing? Snacking.
The whole day.
Yeah.
And snacking a whole lot.
Yes. This is a problem of overweight, obesity, and diabetes. And in fact, it's so bad that according to study and science, this is the number 1 cause of lifestyle diseases. I tell you, one of the things that I do when patients come to the office, I just tell them, can we just agree on one thing as treatment? Can we just eat 3 meals in a day? We need to trust our meals, and especially natural foods. Just eat in the morning. Find time to eat. Not time to eat while in the car. No.
Not time to eat while watching a movie.
A movie.
Not time to eat while on a phone call.
No. Find time and sit and eat. Breakfast. Take your breakfast. Now, you need to trust that the breakfast you are eating will reach sasaba. Okay? You need not to eat anything in between. If there's any eating, it's water or maybe a cup of tea. Na kama unapenda coffee, maybe a cup of coffee. and let it end there. Nothing much as solid. Then, lunchtime, go eat your meal. Stop everything else and give time to eating. Not when, again, you did not go for lunch and therefore you asked for popcorns or you asked for nuts or you asked for some other stuff. And when you are working, you're also eating. That is not healthy eating. Find time to eat your lunch. Okay? Again, between lunch and supper, don't touch anything solid. Try as much as possible to avoid. And then at night, eat a meal and sleep.
A light meal, is it?
You can eat a light meal. Now, when it comes to now modifying what you are eating to make sure that you are eating properly, it's up to you to now decide at what time, because I get people who are very different. And this is where, again, personalization is very important. You know, there are people who just don't like breakfast. They wake up, they just don't feel cool eating breakfast. So they can skip it. There are others who will eat a heavy breakfast and they're just not cool with eating lunch. So again, this one now I look at an individual capacity. How do you want to frame that? However, whatever meals you eat, avoid snacking. So to answer your question, is there anything like smart snacking? Isn't this a better way of saying smart snacking is just the same way as regular snacking? In fact, the way I look at it, I say, instead of eating kidogo kidogo, make sure one of your meals is a snack as opposed to a whole meal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Such that at lunchtime, if instead of eating some nuts all the time, get to lunchtime, get a plain yogurt. This is just an example. Get a plain yogurt, maybe 250 or 200 grams, plain yogurt. Put some nuts in it. Okay? For today, you can put some nuts and then take some coffee or tea with it. That is a very filling meal for very many people. And that's enough as a meal. For some others, you can take the same meal, the same yogurt and put some berries because they tend to have more sugar than any other. And that is now what I would call smart snacking. But anything in between meals needs to be avoided unless it's absolutely necessary, unless it's your birthday, unless it's an occasional treat. We need to avoid snacking as much as possible. Remember where we started. Our ancestors used to eat how many meals? 1. And if it goes to a lot of meals, 2 meals in a day. So we want to dissociate from food. And if we really want to dissociate from food as much as we would want to put it, snacking is not one of the options that we want to go for. We want to minimize how many times we snack. And it's quite unfortunate. I know we might talk about this in the next episode, where in terms of treatment of diabetes, when you go for treatment of diabetes and you go for nutrition counseling, we tend to say, because now you are living with diabetes, we want you to eat. Never go hungry. And that has been the message for many years. So they tell you to eat asubuhi, saa 4, saa 7, saa 10, jioni, and even eat a fruit before you sleep.
Why?
I don't know. There is no support to evidence to that. There is absolutely no evidence.
So what is their reasoning?
I think their reasoning came from the use of insulin, which we will talk about. You know, when you are injecting yourself insulin, all right, it means your insulin is going up and your sugar level might go down. So for us to avoid your sugar going down, we tell you to eat many times.
Pack more sugars.
Pack more sugar for treatment. But what that means is that the insulin, remember insulin made you gain weight. So now we put you on treatment for diabetes, and if you are in insulin, you gain weight. You continue gaining weight. And we will talk about that in details. But those are some of the harmful effects of some of the things or side effects we see with insulin. I'm not saying insulin is bad. anyone not get me wrong, but that is absolutely true and exactly what happens when you're on insulin and you're injecting yourself. It's difficult for you to lose weight.
Let's talk about portion management.
Yes.
Imekuwa shida. When I started my weight loss journey,
Yes.
because somebody looking at me right now and is like, what weight have you lost? I used to be a little bigger.
Oh, yeah, really?
Yeah, I used to be much bigger.
Then we can use you as an example. How did you do it?
I'm still
A
struggling
short
with
story.
it. I'm still
But
struggling
you've
with it.
done well.
Yeah, so the thing is, I was wondering I tried intermittent fasting.
Yes.
It wasn't working for me because going without food for days, for hours, for 48 hours is a big deal. Is a big deal for me.
So 48 hours.
48 hours. Is it
Why-
48? Is it 48
Why
hours?
did you choose 48?
Is it 48 hours or it is more? It is not. It's not 48. It's if you eat in the morning,
Yes.
then you eat tomorrow in the morning.
That is 1 meal a day. 24 hours.
24 hours.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think it was more than a day.
Why were you doing such severe fasting episodes or
People
periods?
are doing it out there, bro.
I know they are.
People are doing it out there. And I met somebody who told me that it's not a human being in a modern city does not function like that.
I agree with you.
Because you'll go to meetings that
Yeah.
involves eating.
Yeah.
You'll go to dinners that involve
I
eating.
agree.
You'll go to food is in abundance
Yes.
in our today's
I
society.
agree.
So he told me that the best thing to do is to do portioning,
Uh-huh.
and whereby you reduce completely the amount of ugali
Yes.
that you're taking.
Yeah.
If you're taking 2 chapatis, start with 1, then go to half.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then bread.
Yes.
There's no need of taking 4 slices of bread in the morning.
Yes.
Take 1,
Yeah.
and then do some, and then take something later.
Yeah.
But what I realize is that at the beginning,
Yes.
it is so tough because you are perpetually hungry.
Yeah.
And that, for me, what I realize is the reason why a lot of people
Give up.
give up on portions.
I totally agree with you. I think for me, you've given a very good personal story. And I will
Yeah.
tell you, many people fail in portioning because they, first of all, start without the knowledge. When you start fasting for 48 hours, you just wake up and start 2 days without eating. What do you expect? You expect some side effects because you saw somebody who has done it, so you do it. It is quite difficult for an individual to maintain 48 hours. But I will tell you, people are very different. I have a certain lawyer who does 72 hours without eating. And I was like, I think she's one of my patients who does quite well. She does 72 hours without eating. Am I saying everybody needs to eat to take 72 hours? No. She's 1 in 1,000. So what is portioning, number 1?
Yeah.
Before you even get to portioning, remember the topic that we talked about yesterday. What is the right way of eating? First of all, you need to set, why am I starting this journey? Why am I thinking of what I want to do? That's the number 1 thing that you really need to think and ask yourself. Why do you want to do what you are doing? Why have I thought that my portions are large? Right? That reason then now leaves you with the question, how much I want to reduce? The reason why I'm taking this approach is because when you more often than not go for nutrition counseling, we are told to take half a cup of ugali. How many times do you put your ugali in half a cup and then you measure it?
No.
It is difficult.
You use actually to scoop the flour,
Yeah.
not to measure it.
Yes. So I like setting goals. Know why do you want to reduce your portions? And then know your goal. What do you want to achieve? For your case, if you let me use you as an example, you wanted to lose weight. Then you had heard about intermittent fasting. Then probably you had heard about 48 hours fasting. And then you went for it. Of course, that will fail. And somebody is about to say that that is a fad diet. No. What you did the correct thing, but you never did it. I mean, you did according to science, you approached it well as an intermittent fasting approach, but you did not do it correctly. This is where medical advice and somebody who has the experience in it has to come in. Like, if you've been snacking the example that I've given you, do you know just somebody cannot, there are people who are not able to sustain a meal from morning to lunchtime. Now you can imagine if they just started even one day a meal. It's difficult. So start slowly. First of all, don't even start by portioning. Start by asubuhi, saa saba, jioni. Can you see where you can get with those 3 meals? And then now you want to get it further. You will realize if you are 90, you have gone to about 80 or 84. Then now, start now looking at how are my portions in the morning? Reduce them by half. What do I mean by half? What is now, look at what you're eating in the morning. Are they 2 eggs with mboga? Are they an omelette with mboga and chai? Or is it 4 slices and chai? And in this case, now you move from 4 to 2 to 1. Does that make sense? And in fact, that is why in the book, I've given portions. I've given 3 portions. If you look at the side for bread, I've put 1 bread, 2 breads, and 4 breads. So that somebody can be able to look at 4 slices of bread have like 16 teaspoons of sugar. 2 will have about 8, and 1 will have 4 teaspoons of sugar. So that now when you are taking 1 slice, you need now to combine it with vegetables, and then now probably take your tea and go to work. And you need to trust that is enough to take you to lunchtime. Now, when it comes to lunch, again, I've divided it into 3. There is a small ugali, millet ugali. There is a bigger millet ugali, and a even bigger, the biggest millet ugali. So when you're portioning, this is the journey that you want to take, and knowing why am I taking it, so that you really, for example, understand the bit, and you get the benefits of portioning. 2, over the years, Jagero, which plate were you easy eating to eat? Kitambo. Kitambo ulikuwa natoa plastic tudogo.
Yes, the small one. Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah.
The blue one.
Yeah. You remember that? Na kalikuwa kanajazwa but the food was not as. But now these days, there's even a 20-inch plate. You've gone to...
Yeah, they are very big.
You find somebody with a plate that looks like a fish.
Yeah.
So unaweka hapa, the plate still looks empty. You chukua another one. So I think our lifestyle in terms of that plating is an issue. Did you know that a man needs to use a 10-inch plate? I wish now we had that 10-inch plate. But it's sort of like from here, if you can look at my hand, from here to here, diameter. But many of those plates are even up to here, the diameter, or even here. Yes, when you go to those buffets, ukipakua hivi, it looks empty. Na ushaweka chakula already. So use a smaller plate. Then it gives you an advantage of, yes, plate imejaa. And even the fact that now tuko kwa table, mtu ataona plate imejaa. Lakini sasa ukitumia plate kubwa, when you apakua, you are likely to eat more just because of the plating.
Awesome. That brings us to the end of the 3rd episode. We are going to the next episode. So I hope that if you are thinking about intermittent fasting, go well ahead and do it. But also you can always do portioning.
Yes.
You can also, Daktari has been saying that you must trust that food that you're eating is going to take you to lunchtime. Mm-hmm. It's going to take you all the way to supper. And it's going to take you to the next day at mealtime. So thank you very much. Look out for episode 4. And until that one, bye for now.